Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of New Mexico. New property going live on the website today, guys. This is it's the kind of property I wish we had more of. This is in a nice kind of rural residential area, good amount of privacy, but also pretty close to Albuquerque, pretty close to a major city. And it's in a region that's a little bit developed. It's got some nice city utilities out here. So I think this one's going to appeal to a lot of you. So let's get to it. This is reference number TRNM-7142, located in Torrance County. This is a 4.77 acre lot in the Rancho Encantados subdivision. And as you saw up top here, this roughly 5 acre lot is priced at $5,500. So a scooch more than $1,000 an acre, but a really good price and a really good price per acre price, particularly in this region. With all that said, let's pull this up on a map. Come down here on our listing page. As with all of our listing pages, we have 5 GPS coordinates, 1 center point, 4 corners. Click any one of them, and up on Google Maps, the property shall appear. So, before we get into specifics, let's go to map view. Let's pull back a little bit, talk about where this is in Planet New Mexico. So if you're familiar with the state, or even if you're not, you probably know that Albuquerque is up here in the north central part of New Mexico. Albuquerque, of course, is the biggest city in the state, fastest growing as well. This property sits just about 30 minutes east, 30 minutes east of Albuquerque. And if we right-click and measure distance, you can see, ba-boom, Google backs me up on that. About 35 miles. Of course, most of that is going to be here along Interstate 40, so you're doing 75, 80 miles an hour. It's probably more like a 25, 30-minute drive, something like that. Whatever the case, the buyers who tend to really like this region, the buyers who tend to buy from us in this region, are ones who are usually either getting priced out of Albuquerque, or they're just getting tired of living in Albuquerque, getting tired of the traffic, getting tired of the city. They want a more rural existence. They want a quieter existence. They want a more peaceful kind of country type of existence. And also, those are also usually the people who don't want to deal with the East Mountain area, or maybe can't afford the East Mountain area. So those are the ones who we usually find land for out here in Torrance County. And I think that this is a property that would suit a lot of buyers that we've had in the past, and probably many of you watching this right now. Let's zoom in here and talk about some specifics. So as noted, most of this drive is along the I-40. Once you get out here, you're taking Highway 41 down. This property is equidistant, really right between McIntosh and Moriarty, just east of the 41 right here. Specifically, because it actually comes up on map view, this property, 4.77 acres, is a combination of 2 adjacent lots. Now, it's this one right here, and it's this one right here. It is not this one right here. So your legal access for this property is here along Juanita Ave, and it's also here along Palomas Ave on the north. And just to show you guys, we have a representation here in the gallery. First, we have, of course, the Google Earth imagery that we create to give you a size of the property's sort of size, shape, location. So you can see Juanita right here, accessing the property, Palomas up here. And additionally, we also have this representation, which gives you a sense of the fact that it is, in fact, 2 separate lots that we're selling as one larger lot. For the record, let me just stop anybody who's thinking about subdivision. It may be possible out here. I don't believe, from everything I've read in the zoning, that you want a smaller lot, or that someone else would want a smaller lot out here. The sense that I get from this is that this lot, which is roughly about 5 acres, is the combination of the 2 lots is better replatted into one property than it is subdivided into 2. And that's why we're selling it as one property as opposed to 2. By the way, guys, quick thing I just want to point out here. Hermosa Ave, which borders the southern end of this property, is not a legal access road for this lot. This is actually a sort of private farm agricultural road, something like that. If we go back to satellite view here, I just want to show you this, even though I don't think you're going to be able to make out any detail in this. If we take the little guy off Google Maps and we drop him right here at the corner, you can kind of see how this takes off down here, and this become that road that I was just mentioning. I'm pretty sure that's a no trespassing sign right here. But the point is that if we go back to this, you can kind of see, yeah, okay, so this is a private residence right here. This road with the no trespassing leads you up into this thing, this Hermosa Ave. And again, that is not the legal access for the property. So when you're approaching this property, either if you buy it or if you're going out to scout it, you're going to want to be coming from the north up here, say from this intersection of Caballo and Juanita. Just go south from there, and you'll be able to access the land. Now, 2 quick things, guys. In the headline on this page, we say that the property is pre-fenced or partially fenced. Just want to give you a sense. There's fencing along the southern end of the property right here. That's pretty well-maintained barbed wire fencing. Then there's some fencing here along Juanita Ave, which is not as well maintained and is in need of some repair. So just an FYI, I don't want to give you guys the false sense that, oh, there's a perfectly maintained fence right here. It's not. It's there. You can make it out. If you're handy, you could probably get it repaired. Or if you hire somebody who's handy, they can repair it for you. But right now, it's a little bit in disrepair. FYI. Anyway, finally, one more thing I just want to point out to you on the map here, which is here along the southern end of the property. You can kind of vaguely make out power lines. Of course, we have photos from the property that I will show you in a second. But the point is, this is a property that has power along its southern border, so should not be difficult or expensive to get extended or get hooked up to the grid, I should say, with whatever you eventually tend to build on the property. Additionally, and I'll explore this in just a second, this area out here, there's some city utilities in this region, so you may not even need to drill a well on this property, which is a very nice bonus. Now, let me just focus on the photos that we have here from the land. Of course, as with all of our properties, we get photos taken from the land itself, so these are actual photos from the actual property. This is some of the fencing that I was mentioning earlier along the southern end of the property. This road that you see right here is the aforementioned Hermosa, the non-legal access, and this is some of that barbed wire fencing. The area on the other side, of course, is a big agricultural region for some, I don't know, family farm or something that's operating out here. Anyway, as we go through this, of course, immediately you see the utilities that are in the local area, the power that exists right here along the southern lot line. And you also get a little bit of a sense in this photo of Juanita Ave back here. This photo gives you a better sense of it. So what we point out here is that this is Juanita Ave that you kind of see marked out here. As you can tell, this road is not driven a lot. It's not traversed much. So it's a little overgrown, not so much that really any vehicle can't drive up or down it. But it's the kind of thing that if you bought the property, or at least let me say this, it's the kind of thing that if I bought the property, my first call would be to the county, to planning and zoning, and say, hey, you got a road out here. I got a legal road that's a little overgrown. Can you guys come out and do something about it? I'm a taxpayer now. And they will probably come out and accommodate you. Torrance County is usually pretty good about that. Anyway, as we go through the photos, the other thing, of course, that jumps out to us here is that this is a nice, flat, buildable piece of land. What I mean by that, of course, is that you don't have to knock down half a forest to carve out an area for yourself, for a cabin, or for a home site. Additionally, not too rocky, not too steep. You don't have to do a lot of excavating, a lot of, I can't think what the word is, general landscaping, let's say, to get a nice, flat area in which to build or to park something. It's already there. Now, additionally, I say build or park, just so you guys know, this subdivision out here in Torrance County, like most of Torrance County, they don't allow for indiscriminate parking of RVs. They have a 30-day limit on RV parking and camping. And additionally, if you are building on the property, you can get a building permit and you can live out of an RV. They, very reasonably expect that anybody who's building a permanent structure needs some sort of temporary domicile in which to sleep. So RV usage is good for those purposes, but not for permanent living. So if you're looking for land where you can just indiscriminately camp an RV, this is not that property, number one. Number two, in regards mobile homes, in regards trailers, things like that, this little thing to know about out here, don't actually need a permanent foundation for the property. We have some notes about this in the property-specific area of the listing page. I'll get back to that in a second because I'm not going to quote it accurately. But you do not need a permanent foundation. So that's a nice benefit. Anyway, as we go through the photos, we, of course, will see more of the land. I will skip ahead and let you guys view these on your own time. I do, however, want to point out that as we get into the last part of the photos right here, this is some of the fencing along the western boundary of the property. That's one shot of it. Here's some shots of some of the local houses out there. And then as we go through these further, we get more of that, and then, more fencing. This is the fencing along the western end of the property. Now, my photographer reports that it's in some disrepair. That being said, most of these photos seem to represent it pretty nicely, so I don't know. Anyway, with that said, guys, I will let you peruse the photo gallery on your own. A couple more things I want to get into just before I talk about some of the zoning. So, when you see an area like this where there's a whole bunch of home sites, pretty clustered together in what's otherwise a fairly rural county, that tells me that there's either a pretty accessible water table or that there's actually city utilities. So what I like to do, because my photographer only comes back with a finite amount of notes, what I like to do is I like to take the little guy on Google right here, and I like to kind of just drop him on the street and just sort of, I like to drop him on the street, and I like to just sort of inspect the neighbors' properties and see what I can learn about them from there. So as you go up and down here, one of the first things that will jump out at you is you can see underground utilities are in this region. And this region that we're on right now is Caballo Ave, which is just basically 1 block north of the subject property. Additionally, as you go along here, if you kind of look at other people's backyards, you don't see any wells out there, but you do see, hello, right here, water meter. Water meter over here and more underground utilities over here. So, of course, this means that you should be able to get a water meter hooked up on the property. It's not something where you're going to have to drill a well. Now, additionally, again, I'm going to take the little guy off Google Maps. I'm going to drop him over here on this street. And right up here, this is another property where, hang on, it's another property where you can see a water meter right here along with a dog running fast. Point being, water meters are in the area, power lines are in the area on the property, phone lines are in the area, etc. So this is an area that comes sort of ripe for building. It has a lot of building potential to it. Not one of these where you're going to have to pay $1 million to get all your own utilities set up, or at least not too much. Now, for the record, as far as a water company that services this region, I'm not entirely certain who it is, but past experience, usually it's EPCOR is the water utility in this region within Torrance County. So on the county contact information right here, we're going to have some links for you. Number one is the Central New Mexico Electric Co-op. They usually service Torrance County, number one. They'd be the people that you call about power. So if you click this link, it's going to bring up their website. Hello, who's that guy? It's going to bring up their website. You can call, you can talk to them, and you can ask them just, hey, I'm buying some land out in Torrance County. There's power at the lot line. Realistically speaking, what's it going to take for me to get hooked up? What does that cost? Additionally, EPCOR, this, of course, is their website. Click on this, and it will bring them up. And you can call and reach out to them and tell them what region you're looking to buy in and ask if they, in fact, are the utility company that services that area and what kind of insights they can give you about getting water hooked up to your property. Finally, if you don't want to go with EPCOR, New Mexico Office of the State Engineer, those are the people you talk to about water rights, about drilling a well on the land. We've got some information here about well drilling permits and well drilling info, etc. But ultimately, this is the organization, this is the state entity that is going to permit the drilling of a well out here. Now, in regards to water table, a lot of people call and ask us about water table. This is not something that I ever research because in the little bit I know of it, it's not something where I can reliably say, oh, it's definitely X feet down on this property. Because I can't do that, I don't want to misinform you guys. I don't want to say, oh, probably between 50 and 100 feet. Somebody buys the property, they call me 3 months later all pissed off because it's 4,000 feet down. I don't want to do that, so I don't like to opine on it. That being said, if you call local vendors, local companies that drill wells, they can usually give you a good sense of it. Now, all that being said, generally speaking, when I see lush green areas like this close to a property and other home sites in the area, it tells me that a well is not prohibitively expensive and that it should be quite feasible. All right, guys, with all that said, I want to talk a little bit about zoning out here because there's some things that you guys should know. So, number one, as we have up here in the property-specific notes, the property is zoned AP5 or Agricultural Preserve 5. What does that mean? Well, if you click this link right here, or, guys, we also have it linked down here, it will bring up this helpful PDF, which is an excerpt from the Torrance County zoning, which gives you a sense of what AP5 means. Now, one quick thing I want to point out to you. This property is 4.77 acres, and it's in a region that's defined as, essentially, you need at least a minimum of 5 acres to build. So anybody who's looking at this thinking, oh my God, I can't build on this property. That was my concern as well before I bought it, so I made sure to clear this with the county. So the deal with this is, because it's an older property, because the subdivision was created prior to the county zoning ordinance, essentially it's grandfathered in and building on it is acceptable, even though it doesn't meet that 5 acre standard, that 5 acre threshold. So if you do want to build on this property, you will be able to build on it even though it's a scooch under 5 acres. Now, this is why I was saying earlier, selling you guys 2 lots as one makes more sense than selling them separately, because my impression and my conversations with the county zoning is that it's better to essentially replat this as a 4.77 acre one parcel rather than to have 2 smaller parcels. That's certainly the sense that I get from reading this. But if you're looking at this property seriously, give the zoning ordinance a read. It's only about 2.5 pages. Has some notes here about what kind of livestock you can keep on the property, what kind of structures you can keep on the property, etc. Any questions you have after that, it's always best to reach out to the county. There's a guy in Planning and Zoning Office. His name is Steve. Steve, I think, founded Torrance County because he has a savant-like knowledge of all of the zoning law out there, as well as the history of the county and the state. He's very informative, is my point. If you call Steve, he's going to know a hell of a lot more than I do. So, yeah, highly recommended. But if you call Steve and say, hey, I'm looking at some property in an AP5 zone, it's 4.77 acres, I want to do X, Y, and Z, what do I need to know, what kind of permits do I need, etc. Now, we address a little bit of that up here. Like most of Torrance County, RVs are acceptable for 30-day periods as a temporary structure while a permanent home is being constructed, blah, blah, blah. Additionally, even without permanent foundation, mobile homes are acceptable even without permanent foundations so long as they have an elevation certificate from a surveyor or engineer. That was the thing I was thinking of earlier. I was not going to properly quote you. But elevation certificate from a surveyor or engineer allows you to avoid getting a permanent foundation on the home, on the mobile home. So if it is something that you're going to want to move at a later date, it should be a lot easier to do. The land is only for residential use and not commercial or business usage. Want to make that clear to you guys as well. So it's not a good area if you want to operate a farm. But, of course, if you want to have your own garden, that, of course, is acceptable. And if you guys want to build a tiny home or a shipping container home out here, that's ultimately the best call to make is to the county zoning. Talk to Steve, and he'll be able to walk you through what various permits you would need for such endeavors, okay? Anyway, finally, with that said, I just want to point out to you guys, one of the nice benefits about this, I pointed out that it was close to Albuquerque. Now, let's just talk about this. So let's say you come out here, you start building, and you need a hammer and nails. You need to buy wood. You need to buy timber. You need to buy whatever. Where are you going for that? Well, as noted, the property sits pretty close to McIntosh. Down here in McIntosh, however, you're going to find mom-and-pop grocery stores. You're going to find a post office. You're going to, there it is, post office. You're going to find some businesses, but not much industry. Additionally, up here in Moriarty, which is close to the I-40, you'll find a little bit more of that up here. Of course, there's schools, there's churches, there's parks, there's actually quite a lot of churches up here. And, of course, closer to the highway, you're going to find more things like the Dollar General Store and Wells Fargo and a lot of fast food restaurants, things like that. Ultimately, however, to answer the question, where's the nearest grocery, where's the nearest supply store? Don't worry, guys, you don't have to drive all the way to Albuquerque. Over here in Edgewood, if we zoom in right here, you will see, number one, there's a Walmart Supercenter right up here, so of course you can get all your groceries and supplies over here. It should also be noted there's a Smith's, though you have to zoom in and kind of trick Google Maps into saying it, but yes, this is the Smith's right here, where you can also pick up groceries. So Walgreens over here as well. So some of the bigger runs that you might have to do would be out here to Edgewood, but of course that is not too far, probably only about a 10-minute drive from the subject property. So it's in a really good location. I mean, if you enjoy Albuquerque, but you don't enjoy it enough that you want to live there, maybe you just want to enjoy it on the weekends, this is a nice place just out here, just out east of the property. And additionally, it's at a really good price. What we have listed here on the listing page, one of the final notes we make, is that the Torrance County Assessor placed the market value of this 4.77 acres at $17,000. Now, let me quickly say this, guys. I think the Torrance County Assessor has a formula that's a little antiquated, okay? So I'm not going to sell this to you like, oh my God, it's totally a $17,000 property. I think they're a little liberal with their estimates. That being said, even if you knock $10,000 off that ridiculous estimate, this property is still priced well below that. So at $5,500 for basically a 5-acre piece of land, this is a really good deal. And if you agree with me and if you want to buy this property, just come up here, click the Buy Now button, and it will, as with all of our listing pages, take you to a secure checkout page where we're going to ask you a couple questions: legal name for deed, tax address, where's Torrance County going to send the annual tax bill, agree to the terms of service right here, click Next, and on the very next page you enter credit or debit card information to purchase the property. And for the record, guys, if you have a credit card that can't accommodate $5,650 total, just give us a call. If you've got daily limits of $1,000 and you need 5 $1,000 checkouts and one for $650, or however that math breaks down, we can accommodate that. Just give our offices a call here at 702-919-7170. For the record, guys, like all the properties on the website, this is one that we own. So if you do purchase from us, once you give us money, as far as we're concerned, it is yours. You own it now. Go out there, knock yourself out, begin building, begin partying, go camp for the night, something like that. Go inspect the property, inspect the area. Practically speaking, it's going to take a few weeks before your ownership of the property takes effect with the county. Basically, within 24 hours of you giving us money, we're going to have a deed to you in an email. Once you approve it, once you say, yeah, you got my name right, my wife's name right, let's add my 3 kids, We send it back to you. You say, okay, it's good. We're going to autograph it, notarize it, mail it off to the county to be recorded. The county's going to record, and then they're going to forward it on to you. So from start to finish, we like to prepare our buyers for about a 3-week wait before the hard copy of the deed is in your hands. That being said, as noted, once you give us money, it's yours to do with as you please. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I spoke way too long, but I appreciate your attention. If you have any questions, just leave them here on the YouTube channel. Shoot us an email, support@hemingwayland.com, or use the aforementioned phone number, 702-919-7170. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in the next video.